Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a great day today on this Monday. Welcome back to I Grew Up During the Michael Jordan Era. And this is part 3. And again, thank everyone who dropped a comment, dropped their stories on the original video. There's plenty of content to get through, and I'm definitely enjoying reading through these comments. But before we do, as always on Mondays, I want to thank the people who gave super thanks throughout the week. And let's start off by giving a shout out to @BlaneAlmeida. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. @BlaneAlmeida, he sent actually 3 $2 super thanks for a total of $6, and he just simply says thanks. Shout out to @BlaneAlmeida. You are greatly appreciated, and again, can't thank you enough for supporting the channel. Next we have @SnugChamberlain9986. I love that name. Again, @SnugChamberlain9986. And he had 2 $1.99 super thanks, and he just simply says thanks as well. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Again, appreciate you supporting the channel and tuning in to the content. You guys are what make this happen and make this enjoyable to do. And then next up is shout out to @43vert. @43vert, a shout out to you and your wife. Thank you guys for supporting the channel and constantly tuning in. And he comes with the $10 super thanks and just says thanks for all the entertainment and laughs. Happy holidays, Uncommon Sense. Happy holidays to you and your wife and your family. I hope you guys have a great one. And thank you for constantly supporting the channel. Greatly appreciated. And next we have @Eric5556 with the $25 super thanks. And he says, I love your show and absolutely love the humor and spin on the LeBron debate. I'm at my desk cracking up all the time. Also, fantastic question. Members of the CFL, what is your motivation? Absolutely fantastic question. As well as fanboys, if you would keep your mouth shut, no one would know how ridiculous you are inside. It says, laughing my effing butt off. But again, shout out to @Eric5556, and he left that comment on the last Fanboy Files. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And you know, I'm glad I can bring some. Well, I feel like you gotta laugh at this stuff. Some of it is just so ridiculous. I mean, what else are you gonna do? You can't take it that serious when you know these people are just brainwashed. I mean, you know, so someone said in my comments that these fanboys, they're really groupies of LeBron. It's like LeBron is a superstar and they're groupies. They're not actually fans of a basketball player and fans of the basketball game. And I think that's a very accurate way to put it. So it's like these guys are just reciting stuff, you know, they hear from Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp and some of these other people. So you got to laugh at it, you know. But again, shout out to @Eric5556. Greatly appreciated. Thanks so much. And last but not least, another familiar name, @GTheGreat1. I think formerly @GTracy82. And he comes in with the $2 super thanks, and he says, thank you for the content. Uncommon Sense, the Lakers are definitely better off without LeBron. They should have traded him for another guy with comparable salary this past summer. He stands around on defense and takes several bad shots on offense. LeBron does not make the difference anymore. He's way too dependent on the talent around him to carry him over the top. He says, can you make a video explaining how MJ was the difference. Jordan could have easily been 4-2 or 3-3 in the finals, but he always figured out a way to win. For example, in the 93 finals, he had to average an all-time high 41 points just to win that series. Those games were close, and Pippen wasn't capable of putting up those numbers to assist him. In the 98 finals, Pippen's back went out, and Rodman disappeared in the series and ended up being benched. Jordan had to pull off a miracle to win Game 6. I still maintain that if that series goes back to Utah for Game 7, the Bulls most likely lose. They couldn't even hear the plays they were calling due to the noise in the building. In the 97 finals, Jordan had to hit a buzzer beater in Game 1 and also had to come through in the clutch in Game 5 with the flu. In the 96 finals, the Bulls were dealing with a lot of injuries. The final series wins were not a foregone conclusion. Jordan had to earn them by showing up to play and leading his team regardless of the circumstances, something the deer knows nothing about. Absolutely, and I'll put that video on the list. I actually think I'm working on something similar because some fanboy, left in my comments something about the amount of points LeBron James been scoring this season. And I really want to kind of do a video just really demonstrating how the way that you score 30 points affects the game in massively different ways depending on how and when you score those points. And I always say Jordan was a master of controlling the game. And so I want to kind of do a video showing the difference between Jordan's 30 points and LeBron's 30 points. But anyway, again, shout out to @G the Great One. Thanks so much for the $2 super thanks. And let's go ahead and get into some of these stories. All right, this video might get a little bit on the longer side. But first up, shout out to @BottomUpTV 9836. And he says there was nothing like the late 80s and all the 90s era of Mike and the Bulls. I remember meeting people from cities coming here just to be a part of the most exciting era of basketball. Chi-Town was definitely on fire. The only thing that compares is the Showtime Lakers. I definitely think coming from the 80s going into the 90s, you kind of felt everything in the basketball world ramping up because of Michael Jordan. Like, he hadn't won a championship, but I think everybody knew it was just a matter of time. Even though he was getting that criticism about not winning and, and not being on Magic and Bird's level until he won, I think everybody knew it was just a matter of time. Because, like, even in those Detroit series, each year they were taking Detroit further and further. So, yeah, and then again, I've said this before. I can't imagine what it was like being in Chicago during that time because the whole world, you might as well say the whole world was Chicago. The effect that Michael Jordan had on the world as far as basketball. And like I said, it's even though, you had rivalries, like I know the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers versus the Bulls, it's like you could tell, and then, the famous Spike Lee always sitting in the audience having back and forth with Mike and Scotty and whatnot. But you could tell, even though those rivalries existed, those that New York and Indiana crowd, had tremendous respect for the caliber of player that Michael was. And like I said, it was really about the fact that he put in that hard work. And this is something that LeBron James can't relate to. He can't relate to being respected on that kind of level, But anyway, again, shout out to @BottomUpTV 9836. Next. Okay, somebody else from Chicago. Shout out to @Coach T2663. He says, grew up in Chicago. I can make this simple. I stopped playing other sports to concentrate on basketball, which I did get to play a couple of years of D3 basketball, but quitting other sports made no sense because I'm only 5'10". He says, LOL. But MJ made everybody want to play basketball in the Chi, trying to play like him and all. MJ the GOAT. Absolutely. I'm 5'11", so I can relate. It's like, statistically, the odds of a shorter player making it to the NBA is even harder. I think that goes without saying. But Michael Jordan literally made everybody want to play basketball. He made everybody want to be a serious basketball player. And I will say this, I think because Michael Jordan was such a, like I said, I think the thing, even more so than his amazing skill and the aesthetics of his game, I think the thing that really connected with people is that, Michael Jordan was no quitter. Like that is a gene that didn't even exist inside him. And whenever he was on the court, everybody felt like it was a chance to win. And again, I always like bringing up this, the game versus the Pacers in the playoffs. Where I think Michael Jordan had to take a last-second three to try to win the game. But, everybody was kind of in a celebratory mood. The fans and the players seemed like in good spirits. And Larry Bird was coaching. And you look at Larry Bird's face, and he looks like worried to death. Like, he actually looks like he knows they lost the game. Like, he looks like he knows Michael Jordan is finna get off a shot and take this game from us. And anyway, Michael Jordan shoots the three, and it's in and out. It actually almost went in, but it was in and out. But to me, that just shows, like, everybody knew that as long as Michael Jordan was on the court, it was a chance to win. And I think it was that feeling that made everybody want to make it to the NBA. It made everybody, even the players like me, who's 5'11", think that, hey, if I'm just relentless enough, I can make this happen. And I think that's the feeling that Michael Jordan gave everybody. So, yeah, shout out to Coach T 2663 for that comment. Greatly appreciate it. All right, next comment is from @AO12345. And he just simply says, real knows real. 90s was some iconic ball and generated a lot of unbelievable excitement. I was in Hong Kong, and you had kids pretending to do the Air Jordan dunks. Yeah. And I think that's that's the most amazing thing, because again, that was back before the internet had taken over the world. So to have someone from here have that kind of influence on the world, it is kind of unbelievable, really. It's kind of unbelievable that someone here, without the help of the internet, without being able to hop on YouTube and hop on Twitter and do all this stuff, influence the whole world to play basketball, to imitate him. But shout out to @AO12345. All right, next shout out to @CACSmirkNight5318. That's @KAK Smirk Night as in NIGHT 5318. All right, he says in Jordan and Kobe's era, men played basketball, nerds and dweebs played in the basement. And he says in the LaFluffer era, men cry on the basketball court because dweebs and nerds told them that they're not efficient even if they won the game. And I'm thinking that he's referring to the fact that, now we got all these analytics and players are so stat conscious that, this is what they're focused on now is, how did I do? Right again, we can go back to the deer, is after every game is like, why are you able to sit down and recite your stats? It's like in the Jordan era, the only thing I remember Jordan is saying, hey, I couldn't get my shot to fall tonight, or, we weren't playing defense tonight, or, it was general statements about But it wasn't this where we only shot I only shot 35% from the floor and I only had 2 assists. So it wasn't as detailed reciting of the stats. So yeah, absolutely. Shout out to at Caxmerk Knight 5318. Next up, we have at Jamil Lopez 5797. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that's at Jamil Lopez 5797. Says, I remember a game Divock was on the Charlotte Hornets. Michael Jordan did this layup on Divock so he could not block it. I was at the park trying the same move. And respect. Respect to you. Yeah. I think this is really the theme of Michael Jordan is, those of us who were playing basketball, we're trying to replicate Michael Jordan moves. And the amount of moves that he had to replicate was endless. But I think, for me, some of the main ones was the reverse layups. I used to practice those a lot. And then again, the layup he did on the Lakers in the finals where he switched hands. I remember practicing that, to no end. But yeah, we all know what it is. That's the Jordan effect, is everybody was trying to replicate it. Again, shout out to Jamil Lopez, 5797. All right, shout out to at Hayden Phoenix, 3836. He says, during the 90s, I lived in Fall River, Massachusetts. Although I wasn't a huge Jordan fan during the 90s because it's Celtics Nation around here, but I came around to loving him after. His game was undeniable. He said, we had some balling courts in our city. One court I played at is the one Chris Herron, former Celtics, played at. Columbus Park, Ruggles Park also ran a lot of games, and many others. Y'all remember the chain nets? The 90s were the shit. Absolutely. And yeah, I definitely remember the chain nets. I used to hate those things, but definitely remember the chain nets. And appreciate that comment. Yeah, and I think that comment just kind of shows, like I was saying, is that a lot of people who were rivals of the Bulls still had that respect for Michael Jordan. It's like you couldn't deny the game and the will to win. It's like that was an undeniable thing. But shout out to at Hayden Phoenix 3836. And I think we're gonna do one more. Shout out to at Dread For Ya. And he says, I was in my 30s stationed on Governor's Island, New York, a dedicated Knicks fan. When Jordan came along, except for Dr. J, there really was no one who played ball like he did. Yeah, absolutely. I think Jordan, and well, we all know that. Jordan was the first of his kind. And to me, if you watch Jordan play, you can see the Dr. J influence. You can see the David Thompson influence. And there's one more guy. I never can remember this guy's name. But there's one more guy who, when I watch, I'm like, you can definitely tell that Jordan watched this guy a lot. But, and again, to me, that's the beauty of the game, is you can take things from other players and bring it into your own. Just like as much as Kobe definitely took a lot from Mike, especially when he was younger. I think as Kobe got in, came into his prime, he really kind of developed, added on his own things in addition to what he learned from Mike. But, obviously I think Kobe probably was more influenced by Mike in play style than anybody else, in the history of the NBA who came after Michael Jordan. But yeah, that's the beauty of the game of basketball is you can emulate. I think that's with anything that you want to learn, whether it's music or computers or anything, is you have to learn, the fundamentals, and you have to learn what was done before you. You have to learn from those who came before you. And those who are driven, who are passionate, can take it into a new stratosphere. And again, that's what LeBron James has not done for basketball, and that's what no one has done after Mike, is actually take the game into another stratosphere. I think it had been done a few times before Mike. To me, Dr. J is one of those kind of people who, when he was playing, he took the game to another place. And you could say that about Magic and Bird and a number of other players. And then it came to Jordan, who really ramped it up to a place that we hadn't seen before. But, since Jordan, who's done that? We've had people come along who were influential on the game, but that's not the same as actually taking the game itself to another place. Like AI, heavily influential. Kobe, heavily influential. Steph Curry, heavily influential. And LeBron is influential to you fanboys. But again, we haven't had anyone who actually came along and taken basketball to a higher place. But anyway, shout out to @Dread for you. We're going to wrap this up here. Again, thank you all for dropping your comments and helping us reminisce on the Jordan era and helping, give some education to the younger generation about the Jordan era. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you haven't left your story, feel free to drop it on this video and we will get to it eventually. But I hope you all have a fantastic day and I will see you next time. All right.